Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.
Good day and a warm welcome this Wednesday to Africa Investor Today with me, Avon Middleton. We begin with news on politics and economy. Southern African states have agreed to hold a special summit on Zimbabwe as part of efforts to end a row over a power-sharing pact between its leaders. Heads of SADC states meeting in Kinshasa, Congo, had been due to discuss the months-long political and economic crisis in Harare, but the issue was pulled from the agenda at the last moment. It will need its own extraordinary summit. Mugabe and longtime foe Tsvangirai formed a power-sharing government in February as part of a SADC-backed deal to end a political crisis that followed disputed polls last year. The man appointed Prime Minister by Madagascar's leader Andry Rajoelina said on Monday evening he had formed a unity government on the Indian Ocean island despite a boycott by opposition rivals. A deal struck by the island's political kingmakers in August paved the way for a power-sharing government, but Rajoelina, who ousted former leader Marc Ravalomanana in a March coup, ordered Monjaro Ndefo on Friday to name a government within 72 hours. He said the nominations would be made public on Tuesday, prompting speculation that behind-the-scenes negotiations remained to be completed. In Gabon, Gabon's opposition on Monday appealed for a recount of the poll on August 30th, according to the agency's reports. Thursday's publication of the August 30th presidential election results showed Ali Bongo Ondimba, the eldest son of the late President Omar Bongo Ondimba, had won with 41.73% of the votes. The opposition candidates, including runner-up Andre Mba Obame, were quoted as saying in a statement on Monday that they demanded a recount of the vote and called for an international investigation. The losing candidates have vowed to counter the election of Ali Bongo Ondimba. Before the appeal for recount, they met at the headquarters of Gabon's Union for Democracy and Development to mobilize for a unanimous appeal against the published results. We're going to take a small break. We'll be back with more right after this.
Redefining energy means redefining life. At the Petroleum, Oil and Gas Corporation of South Africa, our commitment to greater innovation and greener fuels has made us pioneers in the field of gas-to-liquids technology. It has also earned us worldwide recognition for producing the cleanest fuels through environmentally friendly processes. That's how we've become the international leader in diesel technology. Through pure innovation, pure energy, pure brilliance.
In some companies and markets news. A dispute in Tanzania's brewing industry has flared up again as Serengeti Breweries alleges SAB Miller offered to buy it in a move which would have damaged competition. SAB Miller and rival international brewer Diageo are attempting to increase their presence in the region, and the latter's Kenya-based East Africa Breweries had agreed to buy a stake in Serengeti, while ending a manufacturing and distribution contract with SAB Miller's Tanzania breweries. The London High Court granted SAB Miller an injunction against that move last month. In other news, exactly 3 years after it was displaced by First Bank Nigeria plc, Nigerian Breweries plc has regained its position as the most capitalized quoted company in the country. With market capitalization of 431.1 billion naira, Nigerian Breweries displaced First Bank with 413.34 billion. While Nigerian Breweries recorded a rise in market capitalization by 8.6%, a 10.94% drop in market cap by First Bank paved the way for the brewing giant to successfully regain the position it lost in August 2006. Zain Ghana has launched the BlackBerry service on its platform with 3 models of smartphones and various categories of services. This is to enable the mobile operator to offer various ranges of service and value to meet the needs of the various market segments. The marketing manager of Zain Ghana, Mr. Ransford Nyako, told media in Accra that the Zain BlackBerry range of services would allow wireless access to email, phone, calendar, web, multimedia and other business and lifestyle applications that would run on its fast 3.5G network. The BlackBerry service was launched in partnership with Emitech Mobile Solution, a Dubai-based company which implements and supports BlackBerry solutions. Do stay with us. We're going to take a break and we'll be back with more news right after this.
Afrexim Bank is Africa's leading trade finance bank, an organization dedicated to promoting African trade through credit, risk-bearing and advisory services. We pride ourselves on having local presence throughout the continent and are committed to extending our award-winning trade and project finance programs to unlock private sector development continent-wide. We invite you to become a part of our vision for a strong Africa in a changing world. If you trade within Africa, contact us to support you.
In some banking and finance news, we start with news out of South Africa, where ratings agency Moody's yesterday downgraded the credit ratings of the Industrial Development Corporation and the Development Bank of Southern Africa. This could increase the cost of raising new funds for the two institutions. The IDC has a target of lending 70 billion rand for development projects over the next 5 years, while the DBSA plans to increase its lending by 108 billion over the next 3 to 5 years. These two banks play important roles in the government's efforts to assist distressed companies. IDC Chief Financial Officer Gert Goos says the effect on its funding costs would be limited. In other SA news, competition is alive in the banking sector and consumers are reaping the benefits. This is particularly so in the home loan market, where Absa has followed Standard Bank by also relaxing its lending criteria for home loans. He says Absa's response is one of the benefits of competition. Banks have for some time been sharply criticized because their deposit requirements constitute a principal reason for the pressure on the housing market, despite the series of interest rate cuts since December 2008. But Absa is being less generous than Standard Bank, which last week made 100% more mortgages available for new home loans of up to 1.5 million rand. Absa still requires a 5% deposit for loans of up to 1.5 million. In Nigeria, central bank examiners have found some infractions during an audit of 11 more banks, but not on the scale of those at the 5 rescued in a $2.6 billion bailout. The central bank injected 400 billion naira into Afribank, Finbank, Intercontinental Bank, Oceanic Bank and Union Bank on August the 14th and sacked their top management, saying they had become so weakly capitalized and posed a systemic risk. 5 other banks were given the all clear, but central bank examiners have since been auditing a second batch of 11. In our last news section, we bring you infrastructure news, but before we do, we're going to take a short break.
Africa Investor, the leading African investment magazine, is essential reading for investors in Africa, filled with the very latest in Pan-African investment and finance news. In addition, log on to africa-investor.com to find out more about our exciting capital market, infrastructure and tourism events, and our long-standing investable Africa Investor 100 Index series, which tracks over $600 billion of African equities. Doing business in Africa, you can't afford to be without Africa Investor.
In infrastructure news, RwandAir, the national carrier of Rwanda, yesterday signed a code share agreement with Ethiopian Airlines on all flights where RwandAir cannot go. The agreement will allow RwandAir to sell tickets as well as allowing its customers to book seats on flights operated by Ethiopian Airlines. The partnership comes months after RwandAir announced it will purchase 2 CRJ aircrafts by the end of this year, and also the opening up of their office in Nairobi, Kenya. In other news, the African Development Bank has agreed to finance $30 million Helios Telecom infrastructure project, which consists of expansion of a shared telecommunication infrastructure network in Nigeria. The provision of shared facilities by Helios Towers Nigeria provides the opportunity for wireless telecommunication operators to roll out their network for a larger geographical coverage, while at the same time reducing their capital investments and operating costs. And in our final story, Chevron Nigeria Limited, a unit of the US Chevron Corporation, says production has resumed on its onshore operations in the Delta State after a 3-month shutdown. Chevron suffered several attacks in late May and early June during sustained attacks by the Movement for the Emancipation of the Niger Delta against the oil industry in its offshore production located mainly in the state. One of the company's pipelines in the Abitea area was blown up, resulting in production shut-in of 100,000 barrels per day of oil from the company's swamp operations. And that's a wrap of the day's news. Thank you for watching, and do join us tomorrow for another update.
Africa Investor Today is proudly brought to you in association with Petro SA and Afrexim Bank.